Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. First off, we want to thank our sponsors, Larry H. Miller Toyota in Murray. I don't know if you've been in there. They've got tons of great deals going on. And every time I go in there, I keep going, this is the car I'm going to buy. And then I test drive another one and I go, no, I'm going to buy that one. So right now I'm leaning 4Runner and I can't decide if I want hybrid or not. But anyway, you should stop into Larry H. Miller in Murray and check out a Toyota. And this is crazy because we've had hockey here for a long time, but I don't know how many times we've had a national championship at any level, let alone at a junior level. I mean, your junior hockey here is pretty new. Good friend Dave Imonti on here, Dave Imonti, and then Ryan Howse, former Utah Grizzlies. You were a Calgary draft pick, right?
I was, yes.
Okay, I was trying to remember. And I could do some research, but man, that's hard sometimes. So with the Vernal Oilers, Dave, you're the GM mastermind. You've been working on this for a long time. One, can you just explain to us, the listeners, what this league is, the USPHL, and then also how you got involved in Vernal? Because you don't live in Vernal.
No. So USPHL it's the second and third tier of junior hockey in the country. We play at the third tier. It consists of players 16 to 20 years old. We pretty much, I think we have they're all international players on our team, except for, I don't know what, Ryan, 7, maybe 6 guys. They're primarily Europeans or Western Canadians. We have some Maritimers, a few kids from Ontario. It's kids that are aspiring to play college hockey, or low-level pro. We have most kids are getting Division III offers. We have, I'd say, at least 30% of our roster has Division III offers in hand. They're just choosing if they can afford it or not. Several are going to play for local ACHA teams. Which is kind of cool because they're not from the area. They came out here and loved it, and they're staying. We have several going to Weber, several going to Utah State, and the rest are, there's a few others that will go play third, fourth tiers of pro overseas or federal hockey leagues, which is 2 levels below the Grizzlies, I'd say, 1.5 levels below it. So it's an entry point for them to begin a career in hockey, however long-lived that is a step up from youth hockey. Players would graduate from that level, from like a high-end AA or AAA level to come play for us. And I'm not from Vernal. I'm from I live in Salt Lake, and Vernal is always just kind of a place that always seemed like a great junior hockey town. Like if I'm coming to play somewhere, I don't want to go somewhere where mom and dad are the only ones watching. Like we show up to the rink on a Saturday night and we're getting fire code capacity. So the posted number on the wall is what we have. And
that's with a lot of progress over the last couple of years, right? Because Tegan and I used to go up there and teach goalie camps and run hockey schools up there. And I remember there weren't a lot of seats, and then more money got dumped into the rink just in the last 2 years. So what is your seating capacity now? And you have locker rooms and all that now?
Oh yeah, we'll be about 600, 550, 600. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, which is about 5% of the population, which is kind of crazy.
Oh.
When you kind of look at it metrically like that, compared to 5% of the Salt Lake population is a huge amount. Or Ogden's population is even a huge amount. Getting that percentage of your local community to support you is tremendous. It's the city. I think they did a $7 million renovation to the facility, which if you were there previously, our first locker room was Ryan coached a different team when we were in our first league that no one had heard of. And the locker rooms were basically like a broom closet. There was no running water. We the first 2 years or 3 years we had a team, we had literally no showers, no water, no lock on the door really. It was primitive to say the least. And we'd fit 30 people or 25 people in a shoebox basically. And now our locker room is probably the best in the country. The city is really rallied behind us, and we can't thank them enough. They've done so much for us to make us a legitimate program. I mean, locker room, we've got 28 stalls now, I want to say. Coach's office, equipment room, um, meeting room. Like it's crazy. Like it's every bit like NCAA caliber facility that we've inherited somehow, and it just it pinch yourself when you think about it sometimes.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So Ryan, tell me about this. Former Utah Grizzly, like we mentioned, you're in Calgary Flames draft pick, and then like most players, you get done and you start looking at coaching. How does Vernal come into the picture for you to coach, especially if you'd already been there when the facilities weren't great? What made you decide that Vernal was where you wanted to be?
I think just when me and David crossed paths there in that league, the CAJHL before Vernal left for the USPHL. Um, Coming down here playing against him and seeing the city of Vernal and going back to where I was. I was in a small town in Canada too, coaching. I kind of bounced around with coaching quite a bit, but just speaking to David and hearing his vision for this team and you know just seeing when I was here, the fan support was still it was pretty good when I was here. It was a small barn. It was a barn, um, exactly how he described it, but just the atmosphere and you could see the potential, and that's something that was very attractive to me and obviously David's vision of where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do with this team and me coaching. I think it was my 10th season coaching around there. I kind of wanted to try something different. I wanted to be in an established league. I'd done the assistant job in the BCHL before I went to that other league, and you know what David had in mind, and the conversations we had over the summer made it really attractive for me to choose Vernal. And I'd been here, I've seen it. I didn't quite expect it to grow this fast over 2 seasons that I've been here, but that's kind of just a bonus. But everything leading up was just very attractive. The fans, the vision, and how good David was at recruiting these players, and that's something I hadn't worked with before. And I knew if I kind of had the right tools and you know, at the right players, it would be a lot of fun for me to coach the kind of the higher end European players that we do get here in Vernal.
So, just the way you brought that up, in those other leagues, were you also basically the GM? Did you have to do most of the recruiting? And so you're the coach recruit, kind of like the ECHL, where Ryan Kanasowicz is everything to the team. Did you have to do that in the other leagues?
For our league, and yeah, for where I was, it was kind of, you know, I'd pick up who you could, where you could, how you could, and I'm not, and David could back me up on this. I'm not the best recruiter. I'm more of a, you know what, leave the coaching to me. I can handle that. Um,
And that's
the
great because I'm
recruiting
a character
side,
coach.
Well, that's
we
got to
work
be a
well.
yeah, that's got to be an amazing situation because you have David, who's been an established, uh, a rep, an agent that goes to Europe all the time, getting players from the U.S. placed in Europe. And David, when did you start bringing players back from Europe to the U.S.? Was that just when you took over Vernal?
Yeah, when the team kind of fell into our lap, I mean, in my opinion, the way to be successful at this level, the one thing our league has over like the NA3HL or something like that is the unlimited Europeans or
Oh, okay.
internationals. That's kind of my bread and butter. You exploit that to the utmost of your ability, and we're getting kids. We had one kid who was like Finnish national team camp. I mean, they're like real players. They're not like the local double A players. They're six. He was 6'9", played with the Finnish national team.
Jeez.
Like the kid. We have multiple starting goalie from the Hungarian national team. We have other guys that are bubbles for like, maybe not the A pool countries for the World Juniors, but like the one right below it, which is a pretty high caliber player for this tier of hockey. Um, and they're guys that the thing I have to really compliment the coaches with is all of our guys had opportunities to move up. Some of them did and asked to come back because they felt they were developing better with us.
Wow. So
Um,
Ryan, that really puts a lot of pressure on you, but also being a North American born and raised and drafted guy, you're more of a North American knowledge base as far as the game. European hockey isn't the same. It's not as different as it was in the 80s, right? They hit a little bit more, but was there a challenge for you when you started coaching all these European players?
I don't think so. I think David will laugh at this. I think I would fit better more in Europe, or as a player, I'd fit better in Europe than I would over here in North America. Um, but no, just the experience with playing the game, and my line mates were in the Western League were European, they're Czechs. I played with a Swede, so just kind of growing up and maturing into a kind of a young adult and a young hockey player. I spent a lot of time with European players, and just the IQ of them and the way they play the game is different. Um, a lot of skill and talent. That puck possession type of game, and that's kind of the game I like to play. I didn't like to throw the puck away, I didn't like to dump it. So I think that transfers over well into coaching, and you know what, it's been very successful for me to kind of use my hockey IQ, and I think that was, you know, one of my strong suits when I played was I understood the game. Um, and I understood the skill side of the game, and now, you know what, learning more and more in my 12th year of coaching, more on the D side of the game, which wasn't a strong suit when I played, and wasn't my strongest attribute. But as I've gone along and picked up from, you know what, other coaches or just simply watching the game, it's kind of it's come a little easier to me now, and starting to click a little bit as a coach. And when you do it for like I said, 12 years now, it's a lot of repetition, and you know, trying to keep up with the game, because it changes, and it's completely different from when I played or when David played. It is more of a puck possession game now, and you see these kids doing all like that Michigan stuff. I mean, I'm still not a huge fan of it, but just that wasn't around when I played, and you got to adapt to that, and you got to realize that that's kind of the normal thing nowadays is that skill part, and all these skill coaches they go to in the summer and all these things. It's a little bit of an adjustment, but for me, I was more of an offensive player, and kind of gifted that way, and that transfers over when I have these European players that have that high end skill. And nothing against our North American players, but it's a lot of these Europeans you see in this league are the high skill ones, and you know what, control the play and puck possess.
Yeah, well, I've even noticed it like with Utah Hockey Club. It's not these the newer kids, the new hockey, the new NHL. People keep talking about it. I keep wanting to talk about the same stuff, like, you know, take the body, finish the check, work the body, blah, you know. And you watch our guys with Utah Hockey Club, and they're not a real physical team. They're a puck possession team. They're very uh, skill set first, and then body check later. They have like three guys on the team that really hit. Everybody else is more of a keep the puck, play through the puck, and you know, a puck possession team, just like you're talking about. So that's fun to watch. It's been more of an adjustment for me to watch it, especially at the NHL level, where, you know, I'm used to just watching physical hockey, like playoff hockey. So, how many games do you guys play a season?
Our regular season is 40 regular season games, 4 showcase games plus playoffs. Um, so the showcase games were in Vegas the last couple years, but I think the Outliers might be hosting one this year. Um, we'll see. At their new facility in Camas.
Oh, okay.
That would be great for us because we travel deep.
Yeah, I bet.
Fans.
There's nothing close to Vernal. So who else is in your league? Where are you guys going?
Our division is quite spread out. The closest teams to us are Craig, Colorado, which is about, what, Ryan, 90 minutes away.
Yeah.
Southern Utah, down in Enoch, and then Seattle, Bremerton, Bellingham, Medford, Oregon. So it's a bit of a hike.
Yeah.
Where they allow us to schedule pretty loosely in terms of as long as we get our divisional games and we can choose our other opponents. So we kind of typically set up series with clubs like Fresno, people like that are some of the more established teams at our level, because we want to chase the best opponents we can. You know, we don't want to stay within our division if we can find, you know, the best clubs in the country to play, because it just makes us better in the end, and it improves our confidence when it comes to the national level. Because in the past we'd always stayed in our division, and you know, it's the newest division, so it's not, you know, mature clubs that have huge reputations. So we would get to nationals and be a little shell shocked a little bit, and take a game or two to adjust. This year, I felt like when we got there, we'd already seen them, we'd already beat half of them, so it was kind of business as usual, and I think it really took a lot of the anxiety out of it. At least for me, it did. I don't know if
So
I'm coaches part of the same.
you go through, David, and you build your team. You're bringing in all the Europeans, and you have to be looking at your roster, going, okay, with this roster and what I know from the past, I think we can go. We can win 70% of our games or 80. Was there any point in your mind that you would go undefeated?
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
We I thought we were going to be a strong favorite to win the division for the third consecutive year, which is great. Um, Nationals had always been kind of a pipe dream because it was so hard. It's like a 75 team league, Ryan? 72 team league. So
Yeah,
like
around there.
Jeez.
once
Wow.
you get to nationals, it's kind of like you just got the stars have to align. Um, and looking at our roster, we were good. At the deadline, I got really lucky. Um, I made some moves I've been working on for 2, 3 months. I acquired a 6'5" all-star D-man, another D-man who was over a point per game at the tier 2 level last year, and like played the Alberta Junior League as a half point per game guy. Like the kid just missed on being a D1 prospect, like a high-end D1 prospect. I don't really know how we ended up with him, but we got him. And then we just kind of a throw in was a his D partner who was over a point per game guy, and then we also just like because they were coming, his buddy wanted to come too, and he's a 70-point D3 commit,
Wow.
and so we kind of like just like when you have a good roster on hand and on hand, like all the guys want to chase it a bit, especially if it's their last year of junior. So we just a few pieces fell into our lap on deadline day, and we got lucky, to say the least.
So Ryan, you get all these pieces, and how that's a lot of pressure though, because as you guys keep going into the season and you go longer and longer and longer without a loss, I know from experience on both sides. I know what it's like to not win for a while, and I know what it's like to not lose for a while. And as a goaltender going into the net, that's a different kind of pressure every game. And every game it builds more if you don't come out of whatever it is, the wins or the losses. And so how do you control that in the locker room? How do you motivate your guys, but at the same time not put too much pressure on them?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. And once we went through that showcase, which we were playing some of the better Eastern teams, two of them who we saw at nationals just the past week, it's a lot of there's a lot of egos at the start, and we had to find a way to manage that and kind of get on the same page because when you're kind of beating up on the same teams over and over and then it starts to be, especially at this age, well, I need to get as many points as I can. I need to, so we had to find ways to compete hard in practice and make that practice more of a game like situation. That was kind of our approach as a coaching staff. um, our habits need to stay good in game. So we really held them accountable during practice and competing against each other. And believe me, some of those practices were intense and more intense than a game. At hockey, you see blood, sweat, and all that. Well, there was definitely that on the ice when we were leaving practice, and that's how hard some of these guys were competing. And it's not like they're fighting each other and beating up on each other. It was just we had to find that fire to ignite us every time, and we know it was coming. Like I said, once we got past that showcase, at David I and our assistant coach, we knew we had something special, and we knew what pieces we had to kind of add, or at least try to add before we went over to New Jersey. And once we got those and managed those, and everyone started clicking, it was just we got to the rink, we knew what we were doing in practice. It was you spend 5 seconds at the board, these guys know what they're doing. They were that dialed in leading into playoffs, and managing so much skill and talent was definitely the toughest challenge I've ever had as a coach. But to see that all come through, and there were certain players that had to play roles, and we went through them, and communication was huge. And that was something, what I learned from experience. I didn't have a lot of communication when I played the game. And that's something I learned as a coach, that I need to communicate to these players. If they know what they're doing and they know what you expect of them, and they know, hey, this is what's going to make this team successful. We have a group of, we have 4 first lines, but some of these guys are going to have to sacrifice their body and block these shots, kill these penalties where they never have before. You know, they all accepted it through communication in the coach's office and on the ice in practice, and wanting to learn, and then it just all kind of came together, and it made managing it very easy when we got to New Jersey, which was the entire plan. If we could get this kind of down in February, early February, end of January, if we could get these guys clicking and understanding their roles and understanding, what they have to do to make this team successful, it'll pay off come March when we get to New Jersey, and it won't be a surprise. It won't be a shock if, there's some guys who have been here 3 years who didn't start the tournament, but hey, they slotted in when there was an injury or something and finished the tournament. And David can attest to this. There were zero complaints, zero bad attitudes. Everyone just wanted to see the guy sitting beside him succeed. And when we won that championship, it like we preached, it was the best feeling, and that's something they're going to have for the rest of their lives.
So is it true that you guys didn't have anybody like in the top 10 of scoring or top 5 of scoring? Like you were just balanced.
Pretty accurate. I think if you look at our team, I think, geez, I'd say almost everyone had a point per game. It's kind of crazy. Like Ryan said, we had guys that were running our power play last year that were fifth line guys. Like we just were so deep. It was crazy. But everyone had a role. Like we had like about back to the acquisitions we made, like we thought we were a little soft. We brought in the toughest guy in the league because Seattle we knew was gonna be our biggest hurdle to get through. And they're a super tough team. And if we didn't have any toughness, we could get rolled and or bullied out of the rink. And like that was a huge acquisition, but we got to nationals. He didn't touch the ice. I mean, but he was
Oh,
as integral as a person on the roster, and he knew that his mission was to get us through Seattle, and we got through Seattle, and mission accomplished for him. But was just as big as of a cheerleader for the rest of the guys as everyone, and that player is as important as a guy who had 4 points in the championship game.
yeah. Those things that you guys are saying, that's the difference, right? That's what I've heard from other, I've been lucky enough to talk to Stanley Cup championships and Turner Cup champions and basically at every level of hockey, I've got to listen to it. And the difference is that commitment in the locker room to each other instead of the self, right? It's that, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes for the team, even if that means play one shift or play one game and sit one game, right? Be in the stands for the next game. And that's hard to get buy-in. So to hear that you guys had zero complaints, everybody was uh, happy to do their role. I mean, that's how you get to where you got to.
And
Um, let's
pretty
talk a little bit about New Jersey.
well, and yeah, I'll let you go, Ryan.
Talk a little bit about what it was like when you got to New Jersey and as you're playing in the Nationals. Are these teams you've already played, or are now you're playing different teams and you've got to worry about that a little bit more?
For
Well, we had seen the Metro Jets. We'd seen Fort Wayne in the Vegas showcase, and we played the team we actually lost to this season. Our only loss. We played Potomac last year. Um, so we had seen some teams. We'd crossed paths with them. We kind of knew what to expect. Some other teams, it was going in completely blind. You're just watching the video, like a team like Tampa Bay, who we played in the semifinal. Well, we didn't know who we were playing until maybe 16 hours before the game, and then the final, same thing. We played Tampa. The other semifinal going on in the next rink goes to overtime, goes a little later. Then we get Springfield in the final. Well, now that's a quick turnaround. Their game ends at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. The national championships at 10:45 a.m. the next morning. So now you're getting on the computer and trying to watch and soak in as much as you can. And that was a big thing I kind of made a point of when I got there, and David handled a lot of the stuff away from the rink, and much like the recruiting stuff, he handled all the stuff away from the rink for the boys, which allowed me to go to the rink and spend a lot of time there, and watching these teams I haven't seen and seeing them live, and seeing their tendencies and the way they play the game and just how their players are, and there's a lot that goes into it. But like I said, just the way we work together as a staff, it just all clicked, and it kind of set us up, or set our players up, just to go play the game. And that's what I'm huge on. Is I don't like them sitting there watching. David doesn't like them sitting there watching. We've been there twice before. We knew what our goal was, and we'd worry about the team that we had when we knew our opponent, and we didn't have to sit there and watch, and we had to kind of act like we've been there before, right? And we deserve to be there just as much as anyone else. Um, so that experience, that part of it is tough, because you're kind of grinding through it and watching a lot of hockey, but trying to focus on your team. But the experience itself, and just the preparation into it was nothing short of great, because at the end of the day, we came out national champions. Grinding through 5 games in 5 days isn't easy. I don't care at any level. But we found a way to do it, and we absolutely emptied the tank on Monday morning. And I can tell you from seeing these guys, and David would say the same thing, is they're exhausted now. It's time for a break, and they deserved it.
That's amazing. So you guys win the national championship, and now I'm hearing like Vernal's throwing parades, on fire engines going down the middle of the street. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what is that like to go back to a town like Vernal, who's probably never had a national champion before? And, there's not a lot of sports going on in Vernal. They have their high school or whatever, but what was that like? And how was the town reception when you guys got back? I'd like to hear this from both of you.
I'll go first, I guess. I mean, it's been absolutely surreal. I mean, to see, I guess, starting at our last games where we had a sellout, our last home games, we had a sellout, what, 3 hours before puck drop,
Yeah.
which is crazy for this level of hockey. It's unheard of. Um, to the hype building up to us at the tournament, to we pull into town and every police officer and sheriff in town, every fire truck, ambulance, whatever is dialed up waiting for us. We have the whole group on a fire engine, like with half the town lined up on Main Street, like during their workday on a 2:30 on a weekday. Like they dropped everything and showed up for our boys, and it it's it's like nothing I've ever experienced in 30 years of hockey, 20 years working in it for my living, or 18 years, whatever it is. Uh, I've never experienced anything like this again, or like this, and I probably will never experience it again. It was the love and support was unheard of, and to see like on social media, we've had like 3 senators and a governor reach out to us. Like
Wow.
it's wild, like it's unheard of, like it's nuts. And we've had, I mean, every news channel has shared something on us. I mean, to see the little town of Vernal get national recognition, or state recognition even, for this achievement is it's their championship as much as ours, honestly.
Well, the timing's perfect too. Like everybody's just foaming at the mouth to get as much hockey as they can get right now, and more hockey information, and they're learning about juniors. A lot of people don't know about juniors, so I've been trying to educate and help people know about it. Um, so like the timing's amazing. Ryan, had you ever been through anything like this before? And what was it like for you? And what were you seeing from your players? Like, tell me about a little of their reaction.
I think, well, I mean, just as much as me, it was shocking to see. It's very cool to see how much this program has grown, and how much the people of Vernal have gotten behind us. And that started kind of in playoffs, and me, David, were sitting in the office, and wow, it's sold out already. There's a lineup that's wrapping around our building to come watch us play. And at the moment we got off that ice in Wayne, I looked at my phone, and my phone wasn't even working anymore, because all the messages we were starting to get and things like that. But when we pulled down that hill in Vernal, and saw the amount of people waiting at the bottom, and that was just the start. All the, like David said, the ambulance, fire truck, police officers. It was pretty cool, and I didn't think it was going to be that big, and I'd never been a part of anything like that. And like David said, this championship is just as much the town of Vernal as it is anyone else. Like the amount of support and love they've shown us, and from our sponsors to the rink staff to and everyone at the rink higher up, like it's the support they've given us. We wanted to bring it back so bad, and that was kind of a message we had going there too. We play for this little community. And it was funny because I heard a story when we got off the ice in Wayne. Is they were asking some of the players on the other team, are you guys from California? And I think we heard one say, oh, the Chicago area. No, we're from
Texas.
Utah. And yeah, we're from Utah, and they were kind of shocked. But hockey's growing here, and I credit what they're doing with the NHL team in Salt Lake City, because it is just getting bigger, and people are getting hungry, and you can see it's reaching out to these small communities like us here in Vernal, and you know what, they got their mini kind of NHL team here because sometimes they think these guys are in the NHL, and it's great for them because they go out, they get recognized everywhere you go. Like today I was out and about, and there's getting congratulations from people I've never seen before. But just that feeling you get, and that pride you have, and where you're coming from or where you're playing for. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm from Canada, but this is home. And for some guys, or most of our guys who won a championship, this is their second home, with the billet families and just the love and support of the community. So like David said, this is more for Vernal and the town of Vernal than it is for anything else. Like they can call themselves national champions from here on out.
Yeah, that's freaking amazing. I love what you guys have done. I love the message you sent this whole time about the teamwork, people knowing their roles and being able to pitch in, how the coaching staff seem to come together and know their roles and pitch in for each other. Uh, it just sounds so unique to me, and it sounds like you found the perfect chemistry to become national champions. David, well, for both of you now, has your phone been ringing more? Like now that you've had players become national champions, are there getting more interest? Or are there people seeing like, hey, I didn't really want this kid not before, but now I want him. Like, let's get him in the NCAA, or let's get him. Are you getting more calls yet?
It's absurd. The I told the boys last night that everyone wants a winner, and that statement is rang true. Since we've been on this call, I've got 3 schools that have emailed about players.
Nice.
Um, they all have options at higher levels if they want them. Uh, it's crazy because we're getting the same commitments and the higher level teams are getting though. Like it's it. I think it becomes more attractive for players leaving and coming here, I guess. I mean, the influx of players wanting to come play in Vernal is through the roof right now, which is not something we've ever experienced before. Like we've had like the first year, like it was a challenge getting some people to come to an oil town, middle of eastern Utah with no shower. Um,
Yeah, I bet.
and Ryan's first year, what did they address, Ryan? The snack bar?
Yeah, yep. Snack bar in the lobby that wasn't
Wow.
finished.
A junior hockey, but we didn't have one player leave. They bought into what we were doing. A lot of those guys came back this year. So I mean, it's just because the construction was going on and they saw at least there was a light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, no, to answer your question, it's the interest is crazy. The congratulations from people that I didn't know even really knew we were playing, like in the hockey world, is crazy.
Oh,
I've had multiple pro coaches reach out, multiple D1 coaches, just to say congrats. And it's pretty awesome.
well, very cool. I'm proud of both of you. Congratulations from all of us at KSL, and for I'm sure all of my listeners are super proud of you guys, and they're also proud to be able to say that they're fans of a national champion, that we have a national championship here in Utah. That's amazing. Um, keep us posted. I'd love to know where your players end up this season, at the end of this season. The ones that are aging out, I'd love to know what schools they end up at. I'd love to write that up later. And hopefully it doesn't get too crazy where you guys get offers where you have to leave or something. Because I'd love to see what happens next season if you guys could, pull in a repeat. So, um, anything you'd like to say, Dave? We'll start with you. Anything you want to say before you go?
Just thank you to everyone for the support. It's been awesome. Like I said, it's everyone back home the whole time we were there. former players, people I know from the Utah hockey community. Um, it's I think the morning skate I go to, they asked for who was in for the skate this week, and I said, sorry guys, I'm gonna be a little busy. And I got multiple messages from that. It was, yeah, no, I think it was just the support from back home has been tremendous, and something that we're very grateful for. And it validates everything we've been trying to do and tell people we're doing. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Ryan, how about you? Anything else you want to say?
Just that the community of Vernal. Thank you for believing in us and you know what, supporting us through this whole ride. We didn't expect to go undefeated through the regular season, and we had some goals set, but you know what, I think they pushed us over the edge and really came together and made our team come together and rally around each other, and just shows how tight knit this community is. So a big thanks to them, because they played a bigger role in this than they even know, and that stretches out to the Billet families, and you know what, everyone who crossed paths with the players, and myself and my assistant coach and David and everyone else. But and then of course to the ownership group here in Vernal, it's a pleasure and honor to represent this team. And you know what, I look forward to seeing where this goes, and seeing how much more it grows in this area, and even in this state. It's exciting times right now, and it's great for our sport. So super happy, and again, thanks to Vernal. Means the world.
Yeah, and you nailed it. And that's one of the things we really need to emphasize is that the community has to accept you and support you. We've seen so many times where an ownership group will bring in a team and try to make it work, but the community doesn't buy in for whatever reason. But you've got to have those billets that house. And for people that don't know, a billet is a family that brings in one of these players and they treat them like one of their own. They house them, they feed them. The team sometimes, they give them some money to, so you don't go bankrupt feeding these big growing athletes that eat a ton. But so it's not a money maker. It probably usually is a break even, but it's more of a family experience. And every billet family I've ever known has just grown these attachments to these kids. And every family that I know that's put one of their kids into a billet family has been so thankful, and they make that part of the team. So, and then you've got to have the corporate support in the area. So it's amazing that you guys had all of it. This is just it seems like you said at the beginning of this, Dave, the stars aligned, everything worked out for you guys. And man, that it just takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen. And so congratulations on an undefeated regular season. Congratulations on your national championship. You've made Utah proud. You've made Vernal proud. You've made all of us proud. So thank you guys so much. And that is the Utah Puck Report.